Hello, this is Barry Nirmal. Please subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe link below. Hello friends, in this video I will tell you the story of how in World War II Germany invaded lots of European countries, lots of countries in Central and Western Europe and took them over. Germany basically attacked Austria, took it over. Germany attacked France and took it over. They could not defeat Britain, but they took over Denmark and Norway and so many countries, Czechoslovakia, Poland, they took it over. And that basically caused the World War II. In the same way, in the current conflict between Ukraine and Russia, Russia is basically feeling that NATO is trying to basically strangle it by encircling it. Lots of countries that previously belonged to Soviet Union, like the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and the countries in the east like Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, they all become independent. So Russia basically blames NATO for it, and since 1991, since the breakup of the Soviet Union, many countries have joined NATO, and Russia feels that NATO is trying to strangle it by encircling it, and also they argue that how would the USA feel if Russia put its nuclear missile on its border like in Mexico or Canada. Of course, USA will not tolerate it. So Russia feels that because they have huge arsenal of nuclear weapons, they can get away with invading Ukraine. And since 1991, Russia has developed lots of weapons. Like they have built this hypersonic missiles, which cannot be intercepted with current technology. So if a hypersonic missile attacks USA will not be able to defend itself. And also, so this is the situation. However, the West argues that all these countries become independent on their own, and NATO did not invade Soviet Union and break it up. So these countries like Ukraine have a right to join NATO because they are independent and sovereign. But Putin feels that if Ukraine joins NATO and if Russia wants to impose its will on Crimea, and if Ukraine attacks Crimea, then NATO will come to its defense and then Russia will lose Crimea. So that's why it basically invaded Ukraine. Now let's see how war turns out. It may make Russia weak because they have lots of sanctions on Russia. Lots of countries are united against Russia. All the Western powers like the Europe, Canada, Japan, Australia, all those which are allied with USA are basically against Russia. So in this war, Russia may become very weak. However, China will become stronger. India will become a little stronger, and nobody knows how the war will turn out. In the Second World War, Hitler thought he could conquer Soviet Union and then he will have living space for his German people, but he got defeated. Soviet Union basically defeated it so badly that they came over all the way to Berlin and took over eastern part of Germany, and Hitler had to commit suicide. So calculations sometimes don't go the way we want. And so now I'm going to give you the story of World War II, starting from Treaty of Versailles and its effect on German population. And please enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and write your comments. Thank you very much. World War II, from September 1, 1939 till September 2, 1945. sequence of events from 1933 until the Battle of Britain. In this war, the Allied powers were Britain, France, and USA, and the Axis powers were Germany, Italy, and Japan. In this war, 40 to 50 million people died. It was the bloodiest conflict in history. Let's start from 1919, the Treaty of Versailles. This Treaty of Versailles holds Germany responsible for World War I, which lasted from 1914 till 1918. This treaty required Germany to disarm, make ample territorial concessions, and pay reparations to certain countries. In 1921, the total cost of these reparations was assessed at 132 billion gold marks. The result was economic collapse of Germany. Germans were very angry at the harsh treatment. They did not think they were any more responsible for the war. Here is a cartoon in an American newspaper which shows how Germany is saddled with the burden of reparations. On January 30, 1933, President von Hindenburg of Germany names Adolf Hitler leader of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party, as Chancellor of Germany. August 2, 1934, with the death of German President Hindenburg, Chancellor Adolf Hitler becomes absolute dictator of Germany under the title of Führer, or leader. The German army took an oath of allegiance to its new commander-in-chief, and the last remnants of Germany's democratic government were dismantled to make way for Hitler's Third Reich. The Führer assured his people that the Third Reich would last for 1,000 years, but Nazi Germany collapsed just 11 years later. In March 1938, without any justification, Nazi troops invaded and took control of Austria, which put up no resistance. Though gravely disturbed, Britain and France took no action because, being victorious in World War I, they were suffering from war fatigue. In summer 1938, Hitler demands to annex Sudetenland, which was part of Czechoslovakia. In September 1938, Allies, after Munich conference, agreed to concede the Sudetenland to Germany in exchange for a pledge of peace. Germany signed this document pledging that he will not conquer any more German lands. But Germany invades and annexes Sudetenland. Hitler proceeds to occupy most of western Czechoslovakia, along with several other territories in Eastern Europe. Britain and France again took no action. This policy of appeasement has been much criticized as paving the road to World War II. In August 23, 1939, German Foreign Minister Ribbentrop and Soviet Foreign Minister Molotov held a meeting and announced the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact to prevent hostilities between the two countries. They kept secret the fact that in addition to agreeing not to attack each other, they had also agreed to partition Poland, taking one half each, with a further provision that the USSR would take over Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia without German interference. On September 1, 1939, Germany's invasion of Poland with heavy air strikes followed by a rapidly advancing ground invasion. This was called Blitzkrieg or Lightning War. The object of the Blitzkrieg strategy was to shock the opponent so severely that there would be little resistance, allowing the country to be overrun quickly with minimum German losses. This Blitzkrieg was very successful in helping Germany conquer so many countries in the next few years. On September 3, 1939, Britain and France, that is the Allied powers, declared war on Germany. But neither country took any real action against Germany for many months. On September 17, 1939, Soviet Union attacks Poland from east and occupy eastern Poland. On November 30, 1939, the Red Army crosses the Soviet-Finnish border with 465,000 men and 1,000 aircraft. Helsinki was bombed, but steeled the Finns for resistance, not capitulation. USSR lost more than 200,000 lives, more than twice the number that it cost the Finns. Finland lost territory. Soviet Union probably attacked Finland because it was worried that maybe Hitler would attack Finland and take it over, and then he would have a Nazi enemy on its border. On April 9, 1940, Germany attacks Denmark and Norway. Denmark capitulates quickly, but Norway fights back for 2 months with help from Britain and France. Now war starts on the Western Front. May 10, 1940, German bombers hit air bases in France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Netherlands. On May 14, 1940, German Air Force, called Luftwaffe, launched massive air attacks on Rotterdam, Netherlands. Belgium and Netherlands fell to Germany. Germany also launched land invasion of France using tanks. Evacuation from Dunkirk on May 26 to June 4, 1940. British Expeditionary Force, or BEF, pushed to the French port of Dunkirk. Using more than 800 sea vessels, more than 200,000 men were brought back across English Channel to British soil under constant bombardment from Luftwaffe. However, after this event, France was left on its own. The fall of France comes. On June 22, 1940, France capitulated and it signed armistice in the same railroad car in which Germany has surrendered to France in 1918. That is when it lost the World War I to France and Britain. Now comes the Battle of Britain. The Battle of Britain was a military campaign in which the Royal Air Force and air power of the Royal Navy defended Britain against large-scale attacks by Nazi Air Force, the Luftwaffe. Now comes the London Blitz from September 7, 1940 to May 1941. Luftwaffe, that is the German Air Force, launched air raids on British cities, including London. Tens of thousands of Londoners lost lives. September 17, 1940, Hitler decides to forget to conquer Britain and focus on conquering Russia. Basically, Hitler realized that he could not conquer Britain. And however, this war between Germany and Britain was mainly fought in the air because Germany wanted to control the airspace first before launching land invasion, and they lost in the air war, and Britain survived and won. Hello, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so by clicking on the subscribe link below. Also write your comments in the comment section below. Spread the word. You can share this video with your friends by clicking on the share button below, and you can share it with WhatsApp, with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and by sending email to your friends.